Hello, everybody. It's your pal, Hater Dave here, live in the Hater Dave Show studio. Just going to do a quick hit on a few stories I've been meaning to get in here and touch on the last couple weeks. It's been kind of busy around here, so I haven't had a chance to come in here and record anything for a couple weeks. So just wanted to touch base on some happenings in the sports world and share my thoughts. So, first thing first, you can see the shirt. That I'm a big Kyle Busch fan, and Kyle Busch just accomplished his 200th win in NASCAR, uh, tying Richard Petty for National Series wins, which is huge. Nobody, nobody's gonna be able to touch Richard Petty's Cup wins number, but some people were making the argument that this isn't as big a deal. This is not as big a deal as what Richard Petty did. I'm going to argue the opposite way. Here's why. Don't kill me in the comments section for this. Well, I don't care. You can go and have at it. But basically, back in the day, it was easier to win than it is now. There's more competition now than there was back when Richard Petty was running. You basically just had to finish the race most of the times to really have a shot at winning the race. Here, you have to run hard the entire race and be in position to win the race at the end, and then have to fight somebody off tooth and nail at the end to win. It's a whole lot harder to try to get the win because the competition's so much better now than it was back then. And that's in all three series. Like when Richard Petty was running the Cup Series, he was the best car in the field every week because he had the best equipment every week. The cars are so much closer together and the competition's so much tighter now than it's ever been. That's why I think it's a bigger accomplishment that Kyle's won 200 races in the National Series because it's so damn hard to do it. Not to mention, even his 100 Xfinity Series wins, most of those were against Cup guys in equal or better cars than what he had. So it's a real accomplishment, and I think that fans should be celebrating it more than what they are. I think time will show that it's a bigger deal than what the media has made it to be. So congratulations to Kyle on his 200th win, and hopefully he'll break the record later this week, or this weekend when he gets behind the wheel of the Cup car. But so moving on, another thing that came up is that the Redskins finally got a quarterback. They traded for Case Keenum. I think it's a pretty decent choice. I like it over having Colt McCoy start next year. So, and I don't think they're paying him all that much next year, to be honest, either. They're paying Case Keenum like $3 million, which is a pretty good deal for someone with his experience and his skill level. I mean, he got the Vikings into the playoffs a few years ago. So, I mean, as a Redskins fan, you can't be too upset about that. So, lots of positives when it comes to Case Keenum. Still, I'm not saying he's the permanent solution at quarterback, but he's a good stopgap measure for at least a year or two, hopefully, till we can figure out what we're going to do, whether it's going to be go back to Alex Smith, which probably isn't going to happen, or find the quarterback of the future, which who knows when that's going to be or who that's going to be. I'm not really in love with anybody in this draft class. I like the Daniel Jones out of Duke. I think he's got a good arm. I like the way he his style of play. The question for me on that one is they didn't win a lot at Duke, so that's a question mark for me. And I wouldn't want to take him in the spot where a lot of teams are going to be looking at him. Like for me, he's not worth the risk. There's no quarterback in this draft that really says that they're worth the risk of taking. Because I just don't see any blue chippers in this draft. Like, they just don't stick out and say, this is the guy. If I had to pick a guy out of this draft, he would probably be the guy that I'd want. Because I'm just not sold on Haskins. He doesn't have a lot of starting experience. I'm not really sold on Kyler Murray, mainly because of the size. And again, not a lot of experience. Another one I really like too is the kid from West Virginia. I think his name was Greer. I think he'll be a good value pick for somebody. Probably like a second or third rounder at least. Maybe third or fourth. I would be, if I was the Redskins, what I would do is I would keep, I would, the Case Keenum selection is great. That's a great move. Then you try to trade out of the first round, stockpile draft picks. So trade your pick, get as much as you can, try to stockpile those mid to late round draft picks, and just start building from there. That's your key to success. That's where you got to start at. Then the next thing you're going to do, you go out, sign A.J. McCarron, bring him in as a backup, basically to compete with Keenum for the starting job. McCarron has a history with Jay Gruden. He was his offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, so for me, that makes a lot of sense as a marriage that could work. And then you go out, release Colt McCoy, draft a quarterback in the mid-rounds like a Will Grier, and then, bam, you've got a potential quarterback for the future. You've kind of done a mini rebuild. You let Keenum and McCarron go out and take a lot of the reps over the next 2 years. If one of them works out, hey, that's great. We got a quarterback. If neither one of them works out, maybe you can develop the other quarterback into something and hopefully have a starter somewhere along the way. If not, you're only out like a fourth round or third round pick. You can still go out and draft a quarterback over the next couple years if you really suck. So it's low risk, and it's an easy way to kind of start the rebuilding process. The more picks you get, basically, the better chance you have of one of them actually working out. And I think that's what the strategy the Redskins need to take is. And I think Redskins fans just need to be realistic and know that the team isn't going to be that good. It's just a fact. I like the signings of veterans like Adrian Peterson and even Case Keenum. I think those are good moves because they're team-friendly deals and they're talented players, but you're not going to be paying an arm and a leg for them either. So it's good value. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about, speaking of the draft, is Kyler Murray. So after the combine, I guess it came out there was some controversy that Charlie Casserly had said that he had heard that Kyler Murray wasn't a good leader, and some of the dopes at ESPN were trying to basically say this was a racial thing. It's silly. Now my gripes with Kyler Murray, I care about stuff like that, but that's not. Those are red flags, but you can't put a ton of stock into that stuff yet. The bigger red flag for me with him is the height. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Seneca Wallace as far as his height goes. And for those of you who aren't familiar with him, he was a very short quarterback, with some mobility, and he had a pretty good arm. Not as good as Murray, obviously, but I just think with that height, he's gonna have a hard time adjusting to the NFL game. And honestly, if I was picking him as a third rounder, I'd be all in on him. But as a first round pick, and in the front of the draft, first round pick, that's way too high to take that kind of risk on someone with that body type. It just is. The Haskins one, I get. He's a big QB, big arm, some mobility. I understand that. Murray, I don't get. Just from a size perspective. I mean, it's high risk, and I wouldn't take him that high, me personally. Honestly, like I said, there's not a quarterback I would even take in the first, like, really mortgage my franchise on in the first round. There's just not one that sits out and says, oh, yeah, this is the guy. Second round, sure. I'll feel more comfortable drafting someone in the second round. Third round, even better. But first round, none of these guys really set my world on fire. So let's move on to another first round quarterback that didn't set my world on fire. Johnny Manziel. So, couple things with him. We talked about him last episode. So he did, his wife, I think it was his wife or his fiance, did like a 4K marathon and was accused of 4K and was accused of cheating. And basically, what happened was that you have to the route was altered. So she didn't actually cheat. Here, let me get through that. The route was altered, so you had to go through this one loop twice, and she just went through it once. And this was her first 4K, so she was kind of like really excited about her time, and it was actually a lot faster than it was even possible to do. So basically, she just made a mistake and didn't run the loop twice. That's all that happened. But everybody's giving her a bunch of shit saying she's a cheater and all this stuff. I don't think she meant to do it. It was just an accident. Just get off her ass. Now, Mr. Football, Johnny Football, he's signed with the Memphis Express of the AAF. So that should be interesting. That team's been pretty awful offensively throughout most of the season. Like, they just really struggled all year. Mike Singletary is a horrible coach. I think, anyway. He sucked in the NFL, and he's not doing much better in the AAF. And that team's not very good. And I just don't see this working out very good. I think Johnny Manziel is going to struggle. I don't know. That's just me. I don't feel real good about. I don't get warm fuzzies when I think about Johnny Manziel playing for the Memphis Express. Who knows? He could play good. Hopefully for him he does, because this is pretty much his last shot. I feel like if he blows this, he's not going to get that XFL payday. That's for damn sure. So he better make this work and try to work his way back into the NFL. This is the end of the road for Johnny Football, at least in my eyes. And he definitely needs to figure out a way to make it work. I just don't. I don't see it working out, but I've been wrong before. So let's talk about another one of my favorite topics, Odell Beckham Jr. Oh, Odell. Giants finally made the wise decision of dumping that loser. Good job, Giants. You might actually have a chance of rebuilding your team and making it good again. Well, once you guys actually, ditch Eli eventually, because Eli is a little bit past his prime. But I digress. Odell got traded to the Browns. Good luck, Cleveland. I know everybody's all excited in Cleveland right now. They think they're going to win the Super Bowl because they've got Odell and Baker and all this stuff. Don't get your hopes up, Cleveland. You need to remember, you're Cleveland. You're Cleveland, not New England. You're Cleveland, not Boston. That means you're a bunch of losers. And something bad's going to happen. And the bad was your team getting Odell Beckham Jr. Just wait till things start going bad. You just wait. Just wait for it. It's going to happen. And you all are going to be crying about it like what could have been. He's going to tear that locker room apart, just like he did in New York. Why do you think the Giants were so eager or willing to get rid of him? You don't get rid of players that are great and good in the locker room and, put up amazing stats. You don't do that for like what they got. Which what they got was pretty good, don't get me wrong. But you wouldn't have got rid of him if he was so good. That wouldn't have happened. So, just read between the lines. He's probably not a nice guy. So, for me, good luck, Cleveland. You're going to need it. Enjoy. Enjoy Odell. Because you got. Just get ready for the sideshow. I will come out, and I'm going to say this right now. They may make the playoffs this year, but it's going to end badly, and there's going to be an implosion down the road. It's Cleveland. There's no happy endings in Cleveland. You need to know that. I know everybody's like all excited. Oh, the Browns are finally going to be good. The Cleveland's going to have something to be happy about. Shut your mouth, Cleveland. You're not allowed to be happy. There's no happiness for you, Cleveland. That's where miserable people live. That's where misery is. That's where it's going to continue to be. And I guarantee you, Mr. Beckham is going to cause some trouble. And you all will be back to misery again. Anyway, I think that's everything I need to talk about on my show tonight. Sorry about the lack of shows the last couple weeks. Been lazy. Had stuff to do. Get over it. I'll see you next time on Hater Dave Sports Show. You guys have a good night.